Out front now, two regulars, Dan Ives and Jim Bianco. And Jim, I know we've talked about this before, but I think I used the term cognitive dissonance earlier in the show. In this particular world of the economy, it is screaming the cognitive dissonance, right? Some people are doing really well. Stock market, anything related to tech, AI, I mean, it just seems there is no limit to it right now. But you've got Americans struggling to keep up. You've got inflation that has over time built to such a level that I think years ago, none of us would have thought we would have been in this position, right? It would have been hard to even imagine it. I'm just wondering, Jim, how long you think both things can continue to be true? Some of this economic pain and this record after record on Wall Street.
I think it can continue for a while. We refer to it as the K-shaped economy. What the economy is being driven by when we look at the economic statistics is the top of the K, the top of the income spectrum. They're seeing their home prices go up, which we call, the affordability problem. They're seeing new highs in the stock market. They're spending money, and the GDP and the retail sales numbers all look very good. The bottom of the K, and let's remember, Bankrate.com does an annual survey. 59% of the public says they cannot come up with $1,000 in an emergency. They're just seeing that prices, CPI, is up 27% since 2020, but wages are only up about 21% over the time period. So they're only relying on paycheck to paycheck, and they're seeing that their paycheck buys them less and less. And that's the difference in this so-called K-shaped economy, is that we've got to get prices under control. Otherwise, the anger is going to just continue on the bottom end. And if the stock market continues to rally, it's not going to be viewed more and more as an indicator of the broader economy.
Dan, I mean, how long do you think this can continue? And by the way, I know I still have to say my jaw hits the floor when you think about prices going up 27% in just the past 5 years. I mean, that is epic. But Dan, do you share Jim's view that this can continue for a while?
Yeah, look, I mean, Jim raises great points as always. I mean, Erin, and we've talked about a lot on the show. Look, this is an AI revolution. It's a fourth industrial revolution that's being led by the U.S. I mean, U.S. is ahead of China for the first time in 30 years when it comes to tech. So I think what's playing out here, it's a tech-led market that you continue to see in terms of leaders from NVIDIA to Microsoft and others. Uneven, clearly, in terms of the broader economy. More pressure on the Fed, especially going to next week, and a new Fed chair. But the reality is that I think this is a tech bull market that goes on, we think, for another few years.
So another few years. I mean, and obviously you've got midterms coming through. So I know that's a significant thing to say. Jim, though, it's interesting when Dan talks about the revolution, right, that we're going through. And I know you've talked about it. You've actually likened it in terms of the impact on the market from this to what we saw with the railroads over a century ago. It is this massive spending on AI. And in that context, Jim, I saw something this week that I flagged in the middle of the night because I'm up, surfing the optimistic site of X. And I see this post from the CEO of IBM, Arvind Krishna. It's a post about something he said. He was asked about these AI data centers, right? And the trillions of dollars being thrown at these data centers. And he said that this money to him does not add up. Here's what he said.
It takes about $80 billion to fill up a 1 gigawatt data center. If I look at the total commits in the world on this space of the chasing age AI seem to be like 100 gigawatts, at least announcements. That's 8 trillion of capex. There's no way you're going to go get a return on that, is my view, because 8 trillion of capex means you need roughly 800 billion of profit just to pay for the interest.
I mean, it was a sobering comment to come from someone like him who's looking at this from the math and looking at the actual data centers.
It is, but I think there's a couple of things we have to put in place. I completely agree with Dan. This is a fourth generation or a fourth industrial revolution. And just like, if you will, the third, which might have been the internet, we did have a peak. We did have a big correction from 2000 to 2002. But when it was over with, we still had the internet.
Yeah.
And then that bred a whole nother wave of technological advances, which we know as Meta and Uber and Airbnb and Amazon and Google and the like. And I think that this is the same thing here. Everybody's got to play this game because the loser is going to be somebody who's not playing. But if you're not, an investor in this, what you're going to be left with AI at the end of it, and that's going to be a big positive for everybody.
So Dan, I know you're all in on AI. You've been doing work also with the OpenAI founder Sam Altman, and the talk about a bubble, I know you believe is way overblown. And this is a separate question from what Jim just said, right? Which is that even if there is a bursting of some sort of a bubble at some point, we're still left with AI. Do you question, Dan, the use of the word bubble at all?
Yeah, I mean, look, to me, 3% of companies in the US have gone down the AI path. So it's still early. We think about it from a baseball. I mean, it's top of the third inning in a 9-inning game. And globally, you're still in the early stages of more and more going toward the AI revolution. So the reason I don't view it as a bubble is the second, third, fourth derivatives of big tech, they're just starting to play out. The data center, the 3 to 4 trillion being spent. And I can look, we've said, I mean, this is an AI party. It started at 9 p.m. It's now 10:30 p.m. Party goes to 4 a.m. And the bears will watch that party through the windows from the outside.
And the people who stay up all night, I guess the question is, do they regret it the next morning? Thank you both very much. I appreciate it. Good to talk to you.